This journey is worth every effort. Even when it feels difficult, even when the mind resists, keep going. The truth of who you are is beyond any challenge or doubt. Stay steady, stay sincere, and you will see. It's worth it, beyond anything you can imagine. In the beginning stages, confusion is good. When you're first learning, when you first get on a spiritual path, you study this, you read that, and you go through many teachers trying to find out what is what. And you become totally confused. To an extent, this is good. It means you're questioning, you're searching. But eventually, you must come to a point where you ask yourself, what do I do now? Something within you should tell you that you need to become steady, find one path, and give it your all. Without this steadiness, confusion will continue year after year, and your progress will be hindered, which can become a waste of time.
Is it possible to fully awaken in this life for an ordinary person?
Who is an ordinary person? There are no ordinary people. Everyone is the self. If you were not the self, you would never be able to become the self. Of course, it's possible. It's possible only to the extent that you let go of the world, that you do not become attached to this world, to people, to persons, to things. When there is no attachment, there is freedom. Where there is freedom, there is the self.
What do you mean by letting go of the world? It feels like a big ask.
Letting go of the world doesn't mean you abandon your responsibilities or your family. It means you do not give reality to the world of appearances. You do not become attached to outcomes, to the drama of the world. You become an observer, knowing full well that everything you see, hear, or experience is part of the dream. It is not real. The real you is beyond all of this. The real you is pure awareness, untouched by any event or circumstance.
Is there a specific practice that is the fastest way to awaken?
The fastest and best way to awaken is not self-inquiry, is not observation, being the witness. Those things are for the disciples or for seekers, but for the devotee, the fastest and best way is the silence. Keeping the mind quiet, keeping the mind peaceful. Not fighting the mind. When you fight the mind, it's like beating a cow with a stick to take the cow where you want him to go. Looking at the mind in quietness, without troubling to change any thought, is like coaxing the cow with some grass, so the cow will follow you wherever you want him to go. When you learn to sit in the silence, in the quietness, everything will happen by itself. Everything will take care of itself. Everything will happen by itself.
How do we know we are making progress? Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening.
Progress is not measured in visible achievements. The very fact that you are drawn to self-inquiry means that something deep within you is ready. Do not look for experiences or signs. True progress is the dissolution of the sense of being a separate entity.
Sometimes I feel discouraged when I see no progress. Should I continue with the practice, even when it feels useless?
Absolutely. Never give up. There is no such thing as wasted effort in self-inquiry. Every time you inquire, you are planting seeds that will eventually bear fruit. Even if you do not see immediate results, the process is working on a level that is not always visible. The key is persistence and sincerity. The ego will try to discourage you, but if you remain steadfast, the truth will reveal itself in due time.
Is there any role for effort in this, or is it all about letting go?
In the beginning, effort is required. You make the effort to sit, to inquire, to turn your attention inward. But the more you inquire, the more you begin to realize that effort itself is part of the illusion. Ultimately, you let go of the effort as well, and there is just being, pure, effortless being.
I often find myself identifying with my thoughts. How can I stop doing that?
Thoughts will come and thoughts will go. The problem is not the thoughts themselves. The problem is identifying with them. The practice is to observe the thoughts without attachment, without judgment. Simply ask, to whom do these thoughts come? And you will see that they come to I. Then inquire, who am I? When you trace the thoughts back to their source, they lose their power over you. The key is not to fight the thoughts, but to understand that they are not you.
What about emotions like anger or jealousy? How do we handle them in self-inquiry?
Emotions like anger, jealousy, fear, they all stem from the belief that you are an individual, separate from everything else. When these emotions arise, do not suppress them and do not indulge them. Instead, inquire. Ask, to whom does this anger come? The answer will be, to me. Then inquire further, who am I? When you sincerely inquire in this way, the emotion begins to lose its power. You realize that these emotions are part of the egoic self, not your true nature. Your true nature is peace, love, and stillness.
So, if someone sincerely practices self-inquiry, how long will it take to awaken?
Time is irrelevant in this journey. Awakening is beyond time. You see, the question itself comes from the ego, which is always trying to measure, to achieve. When you inquire sincerely, you will discover that the one who is asking about time does not even exist. There is no individual to awaken. There is only the self. And that self is already awake, always has been. The practice is merely to remove the illusion that there is something else.
How should we deal with fear and anxiety during this journey?
Fear and anxiety arise from the belief that you are separate from the world. When you believe you are the body and mind, fear is inevitable because the body is vulnerable and the mind is always restless. The way to overcome fear is to realize that you are not the body, not the mind. You are the self, unborn, undying, untouched by anything in this world. When you inquire into the source of fear, you will find that it has no substance. It is like a shadow. It appears real, but when you look at it closely, you see that it has no real existence.
Is there one question that we should focus on above all others in our practice?
The only question that truly matters is, who am I? When you abide in that question, all other thoughts will eventually dissolve, and what remains is pure awareness, your true self. That is the fastest way because it is the direct recognition of what you already are. Remember, this journey is worth every effort. Even when it feels difficult, even when the mind resists, keep going. The truth of who you are is beyond any challenge or doubt. Stay steady, stay sincere, and you will see it's worth it beyond anything you can imagine.